Hello friends, I am Dr. S.H. Patil, Associate Professor, Department of Basic Sciences, Anna Saheb Dange College of Engineering and Technology, Asta, where in Maharashtra state. Of course, we know we are all facing against Corona, the risk of COVID-19. I request you to be safe, stay home, stay safe. As I have discussed in the last lecture, today we'll study the characteristics of a laser. This is the one of the point which is covered under a laser. This is the content in engineering or applied physics. The characteristics of lasers, there are 5 characteristics of lasers. The first one is directionality. In the directionality, when we are discussing about the first characteristics of the laser, that is directionality. When you compare the laser beam with ordinary light, in the first lecture, I have compared the laser with ordinary light. The quality of laser is far better as compared to ordinary light. On the basis of the different characteristics of a laser, it has developed its own the own properties of a laser. In case of directionality, we know if we compare the directionality of a laser and conventional light, it is observed that the conventional light emits light in all possible directions. The light emitted from the conventional light travels in all possible directions. And that is why it is observed that there is a loss of light when they are traveling along the different directions. Whereas in case of laser, the laser emits light in only one direction. So you can call it as it is a unidirectional. Whatever the energy associated with laser is traveling in one particular direction. And that is why the high amount of energy associated with laser can travel a longer distance. This is the reason behind this. One more thing you have to remember, that the path traced by the laser is along and parallel to the axis of system. And that is why the no diversion, no loss of energy is found in case of laser. So this is the first characteristics of a laser beam, that is directionality. We can call it as the laser beam travels in one particular direction. The another characteristics of laser is a divergence. We have already studied the directionality, that means in one particular direction the laser beam travels. The divergence is another property of a light. Ordinary light travels in all possible directions, whereas the laser travels in one particular direction. When the ordinary light travels away from the source of light, it spreads in the spherical wavefront. When the spherical wavefront is traced by the ordinary light, the loss of energy is observed in all possible directions. And that is why, in other words, we can say that this is a highly divergent, because it travels in all possible directions. It forms a spherical wavefront, so it spreads, and as it moves away from the source of light, there is a loss of energy. This loss of energy is fast, and that is why the light cannot travel a longer distance. Whereas in case of laser, the light spread is extremely small as compared to the ordinary light. The spreading of light do not take place in all possible directions. So here it is an angular spread, no divergence is observed. Okay, so it propagates in the form of parallel wavefront. When the light is emitted, when the light is coming out of the source, the parallel beam of parallel wavefront is generated, and it propagates in the form of parallel wavefront. And these are the important characteristics of a laser, on the basis of which the laser beam can travel a longer distance. There is no loss of energy is observed with the help of these its characteristics. See, the directionality has given one this example. As the in case of a directionality, we already studied. See here, directionality, it travels in one particular direction. So when it travels in one particular direction, satellite communication is possible. Satellite to earth communication is very possible. These distances are very long, in few kilometer distance, few thousand kilometer distances. Even then, this particular path or this communication is very easy, is only due to the direction. Now, for the divergence, in case of ordinary torch, you are aware, this particular light diverge. So this angle made by the spread is about 30-40 degrees. So here this 30-40 degrees, see, whatever the energy emitted from this particular source, it spreads in this particular angle, in this particular area. And that is why there is a very the rapid loss of energy of the ordinary light. Whereas if we compare it with the laser has no divergence. This angle, because if you perform this practical, we can calculate its divergence. It is observed that the divergence is of the order of few minutes, maybe say 5 minutes. In that case, this spread is definitely, instead of a 30-40 degree, it found to be a 5 minutes. So either within a very small area, within a small angle, this particular spread and this particular divergence is observed. Now, the third characteristics is intensity. If you try to compare the intensity of the conventional light and the laser, the conventional light decreases rapidly with the distance. So one of the example I shown, this is the conventional light. So whatever the heat amount emitted by the ordinary light, see, this heat is very rapidly decreases by distance, whereas it do not it do not decreases with the laser beam. Now, we have observed that with the help of ordinary torch, with the help of ordinary light, very easily we can look at the source without any harm. It will not make any harm in the eyes of a human being. Whereas it is very difficult for us to look into the laser beam. Otherwise, the damages of the lasers are possible. So here the laser emits light in the form of narrow beam. So whatever the energy associated with the which is associated with the laser beam is in very narrow region, and that is why it can travel a longer distance. Here the energy is concentrated in nearer region, and that is why the rays can travel a longer distance. Here, in case of a light, in case of laser, the intensity is tremendously high. It travels in a very small area, small angle, and that is why it can travel longer distance. And hence, due to the intensity characteristics of the laser, the high intensity is very useful for metal cutting, metal drilling, metal melting. So these are the different applications based on the characteristics of the laser. Now the next is fourth characteristics of the laser is a coherence. Now in case of coherence, it produces incoherent light. Ordinary light is incoherent. There is no uniformity in the wavelength. They are not in phase. So no common phase is observed with the help of a common conventional light. Whereas the conventional light cannot travel a longer distance. It can travel few centimeter or few meter distance, whereas the laser light can travel a longer distance. This is only because of the coherence source. It emits the whatever the light emitted with the help of a laser is in phase and same frequency, and that is why the energy associated with a laser beam is found to be very high. And this is the reason why they can travel a longer distance, few kilometer distance, few thousand kilometer distance can be covered very easily with the help of the laser. See, these are the examples on the basis of the intensity of a laser. So using this this characteristics, intensity, see here, the metal cutting, metal drilling can be done with the help of laser. Whereas in case of coherence, you can compare the light. See, incoherent light is not in phase, different wavelengths, the different wavelengths are mixed together, different types of the wavelengths are mixed together, so it is incoherent. Whereas this is the light which is obtained with the help of the lasers. Such type of course, here the filter is used in order to get incoherent light with the coherent light with the help of ordinary light, whereas such type of a light is obtained with the help of a laser beam. Now the last characteristics of a laser beam is monochromaticity. The light, the conventional light has, whatever the light emitted with the conventional light is not monochromatic. The spread is observed in the range of 100 angstrom minute to 1000 angstrom minute. See, it is a bundle of wavelength, lies in the range of 100 to 1000 angstrom minute, and that is why different colors are observed with the help of a with the help of a conventional light. Whereas in case of a laser, the highly monochromatic light is observed. Here the spread is hardly say 0 to 10 angstrom minute, of the order of 10 angstrom minute. The spread is of the order of 10 angstrom minute, and that is why the monochromacity is maintained. Monochromatic light is observed with the help of the laser beam. So in case of the different experiments which are to be performed, wherever we need the monochromatic light, if we use a laser beam as one of the source to perform this experiment, the quality of the experiment is found to be far better. So here, today we have discussed the different characteristics of the laser. The 4 characteristics of the lasers are as follows. We'll revise it. First one is directionality. So laser travels in one particular direction. Divergence, the spreading of the light is found to be minimum, very less with the help of a laser. The intensity of the laser is very high. Coherence is far better as compared to ordinary light. And the last is monochromaticity. Very good, rather very small. The whatever the wavelength associated with the laser is found to be in a smaller range. So here today we have discussed the characteristics of the laser. In the next lecture, we'll discuss the solid state laser, where ruby laser will be discussed. Taking into consideration the discussions had in the today's lecture, some of the practice questions are as follows. One is, explain in brief 5 different characteristics of the laser. Once you have studied all these characteristics, you must be able to explain 5 different characteristics of the laser. You must try to correlate the applications and the characteristics of the laser, wherein intensity, directionality. So you must be able to correlate the intensity. For example, the intensity characteristics can be correlated to the drilling and cutting of the metals, whereas the directionality, so on the basis of this directionality, the signal can be sent from one location to the other, whereas this distance can be of the order of few kilometers to few thousand kilometers. Now you must be able to differentiate divergence and directionality. Divergence, in case of divergence, the spreading of the light is in wide angle, 30 to 40 degree, whereas directionality, in one particular direction in travel, the spreading is found to be minimum of the order of few minutes. Okay, so these were the 5 characteristics of the lasers. In the next lecture, as I told you, we'll discuss the solid state laser, and that is a ruby laser. Thank you very much.